Hey guys, Morgan the Rebellious Reviewer. We talk about music, books, and movies. And today we're doing part 2 in the Reviewing Every Genre on Spotify challenge. So, for those of you who don't know, this is me and 6 of my dragon imaginary friends' attempt at reviewing an album from every genre on Spotify, from the most popular genre to the least popular. Today's genre is rap, and at the top of the playlist is actually Sundress by A$AP Rocky. However, that was a one-off single and not part of an album, so we're skipping to song number 2, which was Wake Up in the Sky by Gucci Mane, Kodak Black, and Bruno Mars, which is on Gucci Mane's album Evil Genius. So that's what we'll be reviewing. Before we get started with my imaginary friends' opinions, though, I'm gonna give my brief thoughts on it. It's a good trap album. Gucci Mane has a good flow, and the beats are both fun and dark at the same time. And I'd also say that Gucci Mane is a pretty underrated lyricist. Sure, he's not talking about anything you haven't heard about from other rappers, but I'd argue he talks about it in a pretty visceral and at times clever way. Like, in my opinion, Gucci Mane is one of the best street lyricists, in trap rap at least. I could do without the Kodak Black feature on Wake Up in the Sky, though. Kodak Black sucks. Anyway, let's get started with the voice acting, shall we? Hey guys, Blaze Flarington here, and this is Bolt Thunderstone, Skyler Wing, Houdini Presto, Forrest Woods, and Draven Onyx. Today we're doing part 2 in the Reviewing Every Genre on Spotify series. Today's genre is rap, and today's album is Evil Genius by Gucci Mane. So, I'm just gonna say it. Gucci Mane is one of the most underrated rappers of all time in music nerd circles. I get that he's not super lyrical, spiritual, miracle, or whatever, but the guy's a great rapper. He talks about the typical rap topics in a pretty ear-catching way with funny lines and interesting details about crime, poverty, and the wealth he got once he got out of the hood. A lot of his bars are pretty hard too, as are his beats. Seriously, some of these beats are subtly intense. Also, his flow is as smooth as butter on most of these tracks, and the hooks are pretty catchy. I'll admit there are a few filler songs, but it's enjoyable overall. Strong 8 out of 10. Well, I'm glad you loved it so much, Blaze, but to me this was just okay. There are moments of greatness here. The 21 Savage feature and the NBA Youngboy feature are both great on their respective tracks. Bipolar has some clever wordplay, and I like the flow switches on Father's Day and the beat on Lost Y'all Mind. Not to mention the lyrical detail on Solitaire is pretty cool. Other than that, there were some moments near the end that annoyed me, and everything else was just okay. This had potential, but it gets dragged down by too much filler. Plus that horrible Kodak Black feature on Wake Up in the Sky. 6 out of 10. I'm betting everyone else is gonna agree with you, Houdini. Well, you'd lose that bet. I actually enjoyed this. The beats have this cold, dark feel to them, which makes Gucci Mane sound like a hardcore gangster. The lyrics help paint that picture, with lines about killing people and selling drugs. It feels like a really good gangster movie. Also, I like both Gucci Mane's flow and delivery. The guy sounds so smooth, yet cold-blooded at the same time. I will admit Wake Up in the Sky is terrible, and I never want to hear Gucci Mane talk about sex again after hearing Mad Russian. But I enjoyed everything else. 8 out of 10. Wow, I was not expecting that, Draven. Actually, you're wrong twice over, Blaze. I enjoyed this too. The beats had a dark atmosphere while still being energetic. Gucci's flow is great, and he sounds incredibly smooth on these tracks. Especially Wake Up in the Sky, which would be a perfect song without Kodak Black slurring all over it. I will say this album should have had a better closer than Money Callin', though. That was the one track I didn't care for. Also, Mad Russian was sexy as hell. You guys just hate sex. Anyway, 8 out of 10. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed this, but I thought it was boring. It's just your standard trap beats with little to no melody, rattling hi-hats, and some dullard rambling about the same old topics over said boring beats. It's so tiresome, and even songs that could have been good like Wake Up in the Sky get ruined by Kodak Black. Seriously, who told Gucci Mane that having Kodak Black, with his nasal voice, flow over a beat this smooth was a good idea? It's not worth hating, but it is thoroughly mediocre. 5 out of 10. Now, Skyler, which side are you on? Personally, I think all of you were too nice to it. This album had the most basic trap beats as well as a few ugly ones to make it worse. The lyrics are repetitive and annoying, and as far as I'm concerned, Gucci Mane is indistinguishable from every other trap rapper, lyrically or in terms of flow. His voice is pleasant, but not as much as his contemporary and fellow trap pioneer, Jeezy. That's pretty much all he has to offer. I get that Gucci Mane, along with T.I. and Jeezy, basically invented this version of cliché, but by the time this album came out in 2018, it was officially getting old. The one good song on this album is Wake Up in the Sky, but even that's prevented from being great by Kodak Black's verse. Not only does his voice not match the beat, his lyrics don't either. It's supposed to sound opulent, yet Kodak has no class whatsoever. Anyway, this album as a whole gets a 4 out of 10. And now, Skyler, it's time to add up the scores. Yes, it is. This album gets a combined score of 39 out of 60. Not great, but at least it's better than the Zara Larsson album we reviewed in the last part. As for where it ranks among this week's albums, it's better than our other extra and my pick, but worse than Blaze, Houdini, Draven, or Forrest's picks. So far our extras have been dragging us down. Yeah, I noticed that. Anyway, next week's episode will be about rock. We'll see how that turns out. Anyway, let's throw it back to Morgan. And that's my video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I'm Morgan the Rebellious Reviewer, and I'm out.